In the heart of South America, Venezuela, a nation blessed with one of the world's largest oil reserves, stands tall. As we delve into its history, the lifeblood of Venezuela's economy becomes clear: oil. From the early 20th century, Venezuela's fortunes have been inextricably tied to this black gold. The nation prospered during the oil boom years, flourishing as the world's demand for energy soared. The immense wealth generated by the oil industry allowed Venezuela to invest in infrastructure, healthcare, and education, propelling the country into an era of economic prosperity. It was a time when Venezuela was referred to as the richest nation in Latin America, a beacon of wealth and progress. However, this reliance on a single commodity would prove to be a double-edged sword. The oil-rich nation that once boasted economic prosperity, however, is now facing an unprecedented crisis. The turn of the century saw the rise of Hugo Chavez, a charismatic leader with a vision for Venezuela. Chavez set his sights on the nation's oil wealth, implementing policies that catalyzed a short-term economic boom. He nationalized the oil industry and funded extensive social welfare programs, propelling Venezuela to the forefront of Latin American economies. However, Chavez's reliance on oil wealth to fuel his social initiatives was a gamble. It was a double-edged sword that, while improving the lives of many Venezuelans in the short term, set the stage for an economic catastrophe. When global oil prices began to fluctuate, Venezuela's economy, tied so closely to this volatile commodity, began to falter. The very policies that had once boosted the economy now dug its grave, as the country lacked the economic diversification to weather the storm. Chavez's policies, initially a boon, would soon become a bane for the Venezuelan economy. The global fall in oil prices hit Venezuela hard, a country heavily dependent on its oil revenue. Venezuela, sitting atop the world's largest proven oil reserves, had long relied on high oil prices to finance its economy and social welfare programs. But when oil prices began to tumble in the mid-2010s, the nation's economic vulnerability was laid bare. The government's revenue plummeted, and with it, the funding for public services. This triggered a vicious cycle of economic contraction, leading to hyperinflation. The national currency, the bolivar, lost its value at an alarming rate, making basic goods and services unaffordable for many Venezuelans. This economic crisis isn't unique to Venezuela. Other oil-dependent countries, such as Nigeria and Angola, have also grappled with similar challenges when global oil prices have fallen. These nations, too, have felt the painful sting of economic instability and hyperinflation. The plummeting oil prices triggered an economic crisis, the repercussions of which are still felt today. In the wake of the economic crisis, Nicolas Maduro's government came into power, promising stability. Maduro's administration, however, struggled to rectify the economic situation. In an attempt to curb the hyperinflation, the government introduced new monetary policies, including a currency revaluation and price controls. But these measures fell short of their intended effect. As the economy continued to spiral, political unrest surged. Widespread protests erupted across the nation, with citizens demanding change. The opposition played a critical role in fueling this unrest, challenging Maduro's policies and governance. In response, Maduro's government attempted to consolidate power. Measures such as the creation of a new legislative body, the Constituent Assembly, were seen as efforts to suppress the opposition and maintain control. Despite these attempts, the economic instability persisted, exacerbating the political turmoil. The Maduro regime, despite its efforts, has been unable to pull Venezuela out of the economic abyss. The economic crisis in Venezuela has spiraled into a profound humanitarian crisis, affecting millions. Food shortages have become commonplace, with people queuing for hours to buy basic necessities, if they're even available. The health system is collapsing, with hospitals lacking essential medicines and equipment, and diseases once eradicated making a comeback. Meanwhile, mass emigration continues unabated as people seek refuge and a better life elsewhere. As we look to the future, the path forward for Venezuela is uncertain. Some speculate that economic stabilization may come through international aid or potential policy changes. Others suggest that a shift towards diversification of the economy could alleviate the nation's over-reliance on oil. However, these potential solutions come with their own sets of challenges. As the crisis in Venezuela deepens, the world watches and waits for a resolution. This is a story of a nation's fall, a testament to the dangers of over-reliance on a single resource. For similar resource-rich nations, Venezuela's crisis serves as a stark warning.